Hey, nice girls, nice girl Jen here, Jennifer Delatorre, and we are going to be talking about some facts about myself, some background, some questions that I got asked, and I wanted to share the answers with all of you. And I just thought this would be a way, since we're all in quarantine and we're all in a bit of a lockdown, that this would just be a way for me to share myself, who I am on a personal level, as I always am just really talking about business and sharing business tips and advice and marketing and social media and things like that. And I rarely, if ever, in fact, have never opened up about who I am, my personality, my likes, my dislikes, my background, how I grew up, and all of that. So, since I have a little bit extra time on my hand, and I say a little bit because I already run my business from home anyway, but when you don't have the ability to go out to eat at a restaurant or go out and have fun somewhere, and the kids are home all day, it does change up your schedule, and you do have more free time than you kind of know what to do with. Yeah. So I wanted to share with you guys why not take advantage of this and actually share with you guys more about myself. So I've gathered questions from you all, and I've also gathered questions that I've been asked in the past and just kind of compiled them all together, and I'm going to share with you in this couple of videos about me. I look forward to sharing these with you. And I hope that if there's any other more questions that you guys have, feel free to put them in the comments. I'd love to answer them. And I just wanted you guys to get to know a little bit more about Jenn and who Jenn's all about, and know that who you're working with, who you've been working with, or who you may want to work with, and just share more about me, the person, and not just the persona online for Nice Girls Finish Last. No, we did not hoard. Um, Actually, I was quite shocked to find out that people were doing that. And my first thought was, okay, and I got this line actually from Independence Day with Will Smith, if you guys remember years ago, like 1994 or whatever. Um, One of the characters had said that a person is smart, but people are dumb. And that's kind of how I thought of it. My first thought was, people are overreacting, they're going nuts. Even if they tell us to be on a lockdown or whatnot, because at this point that wasn't even the case, they're not going to cut off our supply of food. So I didn't understand the need to hoard. And I also wasn't going to go off social media posts of other Facebook connections saying, oh, the government, I hear, in a week is going to put us in lockdown, so you guys better stock up. I'll wait for the government to give me that announcement, because they're going to make that announcement if they truly, sincerely want everyone tucked away in their homes. They're going to give us a warning. They're not just going to 3 p.m. one afternoon say, don't leave your house. And then we're all sitting there like, what? I only have like a day or two of groceries. What am I going to do? They're going to give us a warning if that were the case. And also, I didn't ever believe they would shut down food supply. So I thought it was ridiculous. And especially if you didn't want to be sick, why are you running to be in a store packed with people? I feel like a lot of it probably got spread right then and there. So I don't know, but we did not hoard. So yeah. Yes, we have left the house. I respect following orders of our officials and government. So, and I don't want to get anybody sick, and I don't want to get sick. I don't want my kids to get sick or my husband to get sick. So we have been in our lockdown and our quarantine, but have we left the house? Yes, we went for a walk around the neighborhood, which is fine, right? We're not around anybody. And we only leave the house when we need to get stuff, like more groceries. I don't have a freezer box full of meats and whatever, as some people have done. But I disinfect on the way out to the store. I disinfect as soon as I get back out of the store. I disinfect things like my cell phone and my car handles and things like that. So we have been very overprotective in the hand washing and sanitizing business. I disinfect my home. So we've been very careful, extra careful than normal. I mean, we've always washed our hands, so. But you know, now it's like you walk into a Walgreens or something, you put your keys on the counter, let's just say, and you don't think about what germs you could have picked up from it. So, you know, being just extra careful from that. But that's the only time we've left the home. What is my present schedule right now with business? Well, like I said, I've had some extra time and also the kids are here. So has my schedule adjusted? Yes, it has. How is it adjusted? So pretty much I have a routine where I actually posted it in the hallway I have 3 kids, by the way, for all of my kids to see. And it pretty much just says, here's the time of breakfast, here's the time of e-learning or, you know, homework stuff. And then here's lunch, here's dinner time, here's chores time. And I've been sticking to that schedule with them. For me, I do spend a little bit of time helping them with their e-learning, as sometimes they need a little help or assistance. And then I just go about doing my normal work. I mean, like I said, I've already worked from home. But as I've had extra time, one thing that I've been doing a little differently since I've been stuck here is I've been reading more in the morning. I've been using this as a time to kind of, you know, just start the day peacefully with my hot cup of coffee. And currently I am studying the Old Testament. You know, I'm Christian for those who don't know. And I spent quite a few years, sadly to say, strayed away a bit, distance. And I found my way back a few years back. And so I feel like with that gap, and I won't go into details with that, but with that gap there, I feel like there's a lot of lost time in my knowledge and my understanding. And so I just kind of trying to get caught up, I guess. And so it's been very peaceful for me to do that. It also puts me in the right state of mind to tackle the day. So that's been very helpful. As far as just besides that and coping, I find motivation in all kinds of things, big or small. I feel like in my late teen years, I was a little more pessimistic person, or I'd like to say I was realistic. And now in my adulthood, I'm more of a optimistic. So I don't like to focus on negative things, whether they're small or big. I like to find solutions to any problems, big or small, personal, business, whatever. And I find inspiration in little things. I mean, I could read a book and find inspiration in that. I could play a board game with my kids and just the joy of that. You don't know how much time here on earth you have, so you have to live every day to the fullest. And that doesn't mean you get to travel the world or do something extreme, but just be in the moment. And so I think with this quarantine, that's one way I've been coping, is just live in the moment. Because if you do have extra time and you're stuck at home and you can't go anywhere, then really enjoy even the smallest things, right? And the people that you are around, and just find joy in that and peace in that. And if you find yourself getting bored and you've had enough of Netflix or Hulu or anything like that, TV, just do something you haven't done in a while. And I know sometimes when you're cooped up, you kind of lose motivation to even get started in something, but get started. Have you loved painting and you haven't painted for a while? Start painting. Do you need to get caught up in reading? Do that. Are you someone who sews or knits and you haven't done it in a while because life's been so busy? Pick that up again, even if it's for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Just do that, and you'll find yourself entertained, occupied. Because one thing for sure, it's hard to cope, and it's easy to get into depressing mode when you're stuck indoors. And then you're not doing anything besides watching TV, right? Or working from home, and then that's it. It can be very unfulfilling. So I haven't had a hard time coping. My schedule work-wise has been pretty much the same. It's just been adjusting to getting the kids in order because I'm not used to having them home Monday through Friday, but I'm actually enjoying it because guess what? I don't have to wake up, get dressed, and take my kids to school in the morning or rush out the door and make lunches. So it's kind of like summer break, and I've been enjoying it. On when I was a kid and I'd play pretend with my friends, I'd always imagine having some kind of business, whether that was a restaurant or a daycare center or something like that. And then when I got older and more of teen, age, we did the typical things. Like we lived by a golf course, and we'd go hunt for golf balls out in the, you know, bushes and whatever from the golfers that hit them in there, and we'd wash them up and we'd sell them to the golfers. We didn't really sell like lemonade or anything like that, but golf balls was like the main thing. I've done a few other things in my youth where salesmen kind of jumped in, always looking for a way to make money before being old enough to have a job. But I have an aunt in Mexico, and she was really my inspiration of wanting to be my own boss, because she was self-employed. And she would sell various things from skincare to clothes to handbags to all of that. And I really admired that. And I remember I asked my mom, why doesn't she have a job? Like, why did she choose to do this instead? And she said, well, for one thing, your aunt doesn't like to be tied down to any schedule with anyone telling her what time she needs to be there and what time she can be off and all of that. And that always stuck with me. And it's funny how, like, in your youth or just throughout your life, people can say something so small and yet it has some of the biggest impact in your life. And that was one of them. And even when I got older and got a job, which, by the way, my first job was working at Target. And then my second job after that was linens and things. Oh, I dreaded linens and things with a passion. I just wish the place would disappear before I got there. Actually, I wished that the store was completely empty, right? Because I didn't want no one to get hurt. And the place would just blow up before I had to punch in, so I didn't have to go to work. That's how much I hated the job. That was my last job because I became an entrepreneur at 19. But my point is I always had that. I don't like to be told when my lunch is. I don't like to be told to pick up the slack from other people that aren't doing their job. Like, I busted my butt, okay? I really did. I got my stuff done on time. I kept moving. I wasn't a slacker. Like, it wasn't until I worked at Linens and Things that I became a bit of a slacker, because I just hated it with a passion. I really felt like I was in prison there. Not saying I have anything against the company. I mean, they're shut down, right? So I guess it doesn't matter. But I had nothing against the company. I actually quite loved the store and the stuff they sold. I just was so bored there. I just didn't want to be there. Oh my gosh. Target I enjoyed, and a lot of it had to do with the people I worked with, of course. So I loved working for Target, but still there was times where it's like, I don't want to be here and I don't want to deal with these crazy customers and things like that. So I always knew early on that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, a business owner of some type. My first business ideas, I had a few, but one of them in particular that I remember most was I wanted to open a nail salon. I've always just loved nail art, and I wasn't in any way a pro, but I would just do little things to my nails. I've always been able to grow my nails very long. If you could see here, these are my real nails. And so I always like to do my own little designs to my own nails, or paint them differently, or mix up the colors. And I just always had desire to open up a nail salon, grow it, open up another, and just have a chain of nail salons. That didn't last more than a couple years, and I don't know, maybe I could see myself doing that in the future. It's not something that I've desired since being like 18, 19, 20 years old, but you never know what the future could hold, right? My first business was Quickstar, was Amway, when I got my husband now into, and it was introduced to me from a friend in high school. Her parents did this. And our first actual official business was a direct selling company that sold fire safety extinguishers. We opened up a branch. And so my job was to get people from the phone in the door And my now husband's job was to recruit and build the sales team. So I gained a lot of experience just watching him and being involved in that environment, and also from what I did sales wise on the phone. And from there I had branched into a position where I was in charge of training and teaching women how to sell, particularly on the phone, and get people in the door into their branch offices that they were in. And from there spawned my call center. And so then I worked with women within my office, my area of work, and I hired women, I trained them, and there was a couple guys, so I shouldn't just say women, but started off just women, and trained some young men too, and trained them on sales, had contests going. That was like, to me, besides the direct selling company, for me independently on my own, that was my first company and business of my own. And that was fun. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I'd run a call center and start up a call center again. And I constantly think about how I could do that now, how that would work, who would we be answering calls for. So again, we'll see what the future holds with that. But my passion truly is a sales environment. I love it. I love it. I love the excitement of it. I love the motivation of it. I love the hardcore of it. It's just a lot of fun. Why nice girls finish last? The big question. So Nice Girls Finish Last developed within a company that Joe and I were doing. And so it kind of branched off of what we were doing, which is trainings for men and women in business and personal development. And so I was like, you know what? I've always had a passion, going back to the call center days, going back to the direct selling of fire extinguisher days. I've always had a passion on leading women, empowering women. And so it did start off more personal development. And then I decided that, you know what? Enough with just personal development, because that's not all you need. These women just don't need an inspiring story. They need to know what to do next. And so I was very passionate about giving women actual how-tos. And since my experiences in business, it led to business, marketing and sales, social media, systems, and all of that. And so I narrowed that down to women. And why Nice Girls Finish Last? Because I read a book by Arianna Huffington on becoming fearless, and there's like on work, life, I don't remember the rest of the title, but on becoming fearless. And that really kick-started my idea of Nice Girls Finish Last, because I really related to what she was saying in that book. And what I find and had found is that women are people pleasers, and we can be doormats sometimes. And a lot of it has to do with how we're raised on what's acceptable girl behavior. And it's still very much like that. And so you feel like women have made so much progress over the years, and we have, but there's still that inner nice girl that just wants to be liked instead of respected, just wants to please everyone despite how she feels. And so I wanted to empower women to not only give them the tools to succeed in business, but also break out of that shell that's keeping them small. And they can do so many more things if they realized how valuable they were and how important their voice is, and things like that. So that's really the passion behind Nice Girls Finish Last. So I was born in Houston, Texas. I'm a Texas girl. Humble is actually the city or suburb name right next to Houston that I was technically born in. And I lived there until I was about 4. Where have I lived? Like, where haven't I lived in the U.S.? A lot of my family is still in Houston. I went there recently when my uncle passed away to visit. And, you know, it's something weird about going back to your birthplace. Every time that I've gone to Houston to visit, and I even lived there for 2 years when we opened our direct selling company. That's where we started business. Just being on the plane and landing there, the sense of relief just comes over me, and it's like, oh, I'm home. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if any of you currently don't live in your birthplace, and when you go back to visit, or if you have, or you should, there's just like, I'm home. And I just love the feeling of there. For that alone, I'd easily move back. But so that's where I was born. I lived there till I was 4. And we we moved a lot because of my dad's job in the airline industry. So from there, we moved to Minnesota, Minneapolis area. I guess we lived there for a year or two, and then we moved back to Houston. Am I getting this right? I'm drawing a blank now. I was born there. No. I was born there. We moved to Minneapolis probably, I don't know, when I was like a year old maybe. And then moved back to Houston, and then stayed there till I was about 4. And then we moved to New Orleans area, lived there for about 4 years. So I went from right before kindergarten and completed, 3rd grade there. Kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, yeah. And then that summer we moved again to San Diego, California, one of my most favorite places to live, and lived there for about 7 years. And that's where a lot of Houston, obviously New Orleans area, but Houston, because we constantly went back to visit, very frequently. So it still represents my childhood and my memories there, in my youth, because we always go back and visit our family there and our cousins, and just such great memories. But childhood, like friends-wise and school-wise, my memories all come from San Diego. Growing up there, I loved it. I cried and was so depressed when we moved there. We had to because of job reasons. That was awful for me. Awful. Would definitely move back. And so from there, right towards the end, middle-ish of freshman year of high school, we moved to the Seattle area. Lived there, and then funny thing, so I was a freshman in high school in San Diego. We moved. I start school over there. Guess what? 9th grade is junior high. Yes, I basically went from being in high school to like middle school again, basically. So everyone almost kind of thought I was cool because I was in high school already. And I just looked at everybody like, they're so lame. I really did. I was very resistant in accepting where we were living now. I was so bitter and hateful that we had to move that I just looked at the place like, I hate this place and I hate everybody here. But I did make some good friends there, and I ended up liking it once I opened my mind and stopped being a bitter Betty. And then, so I was there to finish freshman year. I was there to complete sophomore year of high school. And then I made the drill team, and I was so excited. I tried out for the drill team, made the drill team. And then guess what? I got news. We were going to move again to the Chicago area. And funny thing, I was upset because I made the drill team and I was excited to be on the drill team. But other than that, I didn't care. I was ready to go. So we moved to Chicago area. I started junior year and finished my senior year. And then I've lived here since until I was an adult. And we moved, my husband and I, to start the business in Houston. We moved to Minneapolis area for some training with that company for about 7 months to a year. And then we moved back home, and we've been here ever since. I have one brother. He's older than me by 2 years. He does live in the area. He's about 30 minutes away from me. And he has a family, a wife, and 4 kids. His first 3 kids are like the same age as mine. And then he just recently had a baby a few months back. So what's my nationality, my ethnic background? My mom is actually from Mexico. She didn't move to the States and then study and became a citizen until she was 22. So pretty much every summer that I can think back on, we would spend about a month in Mexico. And so I love Mexico, and I know a lot about Mexico just because we grew up going there every summer and visiting my cousins and my grandmother and my aunts and uncles. And they're from Guadalajara, Jalisco area. So for any of you that are familiar. And then my dad comes from, I mean, he's from America, but he is from Irish background and English background. I do speak Spanish. I understand Spanish basically almost 100%, unless they're speaking incredibly fast. I mean, there's definitely words that I just don't know. You know, if a doctor was speaking to me and explaining some medical things, I don't know all these medical words or organs and whatever, so I'd be a little lost and confused. So I'm going to say safely about 80% I can hear. I do speak Spanish, but I can get rusty because I don't use it on an everyday basis. And I'm not like fluent. Like I could go to Mexico and survive, and I could have conversations, and I can ask where things are, and I can communicate with everyone. I could communicate with my family. I could tell them stories. Will everything be 100% grammatically correct? No, I'm pretty sure not. Will I lose my train of thought or not think of a word and have to kind of more explain what I'm trying to talk about? Yes. So I am definitely rusty. I am not fluent. I do practice my Spanish here and there by reading in Spanish, and I do use it. I can read it, and so I do know Spanish. But am I a fluent speaker? No. Could I do a video just all in Spanish? No. I would say that would make me very uncomfortable. No. The reason why I am not fluent in Spanish because my mom at the time when we were little was learning English. She was very insecure of her accent and saying things wrong and so on. And so being that me and my brother were little and don't know better, she would practice her English with us. So instead of teaching us Spanish as our first language, she was using it as an opportunity to practice her English on us without feeling embarrassed. And so the only reason why I really know Spanish at all is because visiting my family. My mom would speak to us in Spanish quite often. She still does. She'll speak to us completely in Spanish, but she also speaks to us in English with a heavy accent. And then just going to Mexico and visiting my family all the time. That's how I learned Spanish. So every time we'd go to Mexico, I'd start off very rusty. And then by the end of our trip, I was flowing pretty well. So it's really just being out of practice. So how I met Joe is actually through my brother. He was friends with one of his brothers and then was friends with Joe, and that's how we met. We got married in 2006, and so at that time I was 24 years old. For those of you who don't know, we have 3 kids, and they are currently 12, 10, and 6. And I've always wanted to be a mom. You know, we've always wanted to be parents, and I enjoy them. But just like any motherhood, it can be a struggle. It can be stressful. It's definitely the hardest job, but also the most fulfilling. And to be honest, I'm a big goofball, so you would never see that on camera. But if you come to my home and spend a few weeks with me, so I get along good with kids because I'm a goofball. My pregnancies were pretty easy. I'm going to say, I joke with my husband sometimes that I'm like a baby making machine. Thank God and fortunately never had a problem, getting pregnant. But also my pregnancies all just went really well. When I was pregnant with my first child, I was told to pick up the book, What to Expect When Expecting. So ladies, if you've never had a child or if you're currently pregnant, go get that book and read it. I would read it because it goes through like the first few weeks and then first month of being pregnant, second month of being pregnant and all that stuff into labor and what to expect. And then I think right after you have the baby. So I knew ahead of time what things were going to happen to my body, how I was going to feel, things that could be wrong, things that I might freak out about, but they're actually okay and normal, things you should ask the doctor about. So I had the knowledge. So when I seen a symptom like that come up, I wasn't afraid because the book already told me this is perfectly normal. I never had morning sickness, never. I never had strange cravings. Actually, when I was pregnant with my first child, I did sometimes just really, really want like to drink beer, but I didn't. Not 1 ounce of alcohol. I know, even though they say it's safe to have, a glass of wine here and there, I didn't want to take no risks with my child. And then I'd also, they say eat for two. Ladies, do not eat for two quantity wise. A baby's like this big, and then even when they get bigger, their stomachs are so small. You don't want to gain all this weight and then regret it later and have it be so hard to lose. So I don't really remember the weight that I gained. I want to say when I was pregnant with just my last child, I want to say I gained like 22 pounds maybe. Does that sound right? I don't know. My memory's not there with that anymore. I'm sure I have it written down in a scrapbook somewhere. But I didn't have morning sickness of any kind. I ate for two nutritious wise. I'm a junk food eater. I'm going to be honest. But I also am very health conscious. It's the Virgo in me, so I do like to put a lot of good things into my body, which is probably what helps balance it out. So even though I have no problem eating junk food, a bag of chips, or getting a burger at McDonald's or something, I also put nutrition in my body too. And so anyways, so I would watch what I ate. I would eat a lot more fruits and veggies. I would eat a lot less salty things. So I was being aware of what I ate because I wanted to give my child proper nutrition and eat right for their sake, even if I didn't care about myself. So yes, now with my daughter, my second pregnancy, the only sickness I would say I had is if I was due to eat. If it was like approaching lunchtime and I was starting to get hungry, I would get kind of an icky feeling like in the pit of my stomach and in my mouth. I would feel like, oh. But as soon as I ate anything, it went away. It didn't matter what it was. So that was easy fix. But throwing up and all that, didn't have any problems with. And my deliveries went very well. No problems. I did get an epidural, ladies. Okay. And even too, I would say reading that book that I mentioned, a lot of first-time moms go to the hospital way too soon and they keep getting sent home once or twice. That didn't happen to me because I already knew what to expect and when it was time to go to the hospital because of that book. And I'm very proud of that. I don't know why, but I'm just very proud of it because every new mother around me was going to the hospital and getting sent home. Oh, you're not in labor yet. It's still too early. And that didn't happen to me. In my first pregnancy, I started with contractions pretty heavily while I was at my call center. I worked all the way up until, I sat at a desk chair, so it was no big deal. And I wanted to be there. And so I started having contractions probably around 3 in the afternoon-ish. And every hour or so, I started feeling them really painful. I went home that night. I stopped by my mom's, had a conversation with her, and I said, I don't know. I think the time is coming soon that he'll be born, or she'll be born, because the doctor said it from the sonogram. It looked like it might be a girl, but I always felt it was a boy. And so that night I started having them every 30 minutes, and then they kept getting closer and closer. And I was in so much pain. My method of handling it was just doing circles from the living room to the kitchen and then leaning on the kitchen counter. Oh, it was awful, awful. And I went to sleep like that. And I had a little notepad and I was keeping track of the contractions and how far apart they were. And I was waiting for them to be consistently 5 minutes apart for an hour before I decided to go to the hospital. And I should have probably went to the hospital, but I didn't because they were 9 minutes apart. And then they became 4 minutes apart, but then it switched back to about 7 minutes apart. So because they were so kind of off and on, I decided I'm not going to go to the hospital yet. So all night long, I was waking up, bending over in pain, suffering, until about, I don't know now, this might be a little off. I'd have to check my scrapbook. I'm going to say sometime almost around 5 in the morning. I went to the bathroom after having a contraction. I sat down on the toilet and my water broke. Perfect timing. And when my water broke, that's when I woke I told Joe, let's go to the hospital. And so that's when I went. And then I still didn't even have the baby until 7:12 p.m. And guess what? I was right. It was a boy. So funny thing about my pregnancies is my water never broke in an inappropriate place. Like I wasn't driving in the car or walking in the store or something. The first one broke as I sat on the toilet. My water broke for my daughter. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank and confusing. My daughter's broke at the hospital, and actually it sounded like a bomb exploded, like a water bag exploded. It was quite embarrassing, and yet couldn't stop laughing. And then same thing with my last child, my son. And also I felt inside what my child's gender was going to be within knowing that I was pregnant, taking a pregnancy test and finding out I was pregnant. I instantly felt what my child was. I felt that my first child was a boy. And even though they said we can't tell, he's moving around too much, it looks like it's going to be a girl, and we prepared for a girl with clothes and everything, I still felt it was a boy. And I was right. My second child, I was just like, this is a girl. I know it's a girl. And she was a girl. And then our last child, I felt it was a boy. And I said, this is a boy. I'm having a boy. Sonogram proved I was right. We are having a boy. And he was a boy. My last pregnancy, my last child was my bigger baby. He'd push into my ribs quite a bit, or some organ up here. I don't know what. And so I always had this little bit of a pain in my rib cage. And I'd push him down. And my first two children were 6 pounds. 15 ounces, and then my daughter 6 pounds 13 ounces, and my last son was 8 pounds 2 ounces. So he was my big baby, and he came out so quick that his face was all purple and blue. The doctor said because he was just hitting bones on the way out, and so poor baby looked like he was in a bar fight when he was born. So my little known talents. I'm pretty good artist. I can draw pretty well. I don't have anything to show you guys here, but I have shared on social media before. I would draw anything from Disney characters to X-Men characters to landscape to whatever. Anything I could draw, I would draw all the time. I don't draw much now, like hardly at all. I should. Maybe during this quarantine, I'll pick that up again and draw a picture of Wonder Woman. I am mostly someone who can draw when I'm looking at something. You know, there's artists that can just make up a character and just draw. I guess I never really try to do that. But for me to really get a good drawing, a good sketch, I need to look and observe another photo, if that makes sense. Dancing. I've danced pretty much my whole life off and on. And I'm really good at dancing, like freestyling it or being in a group dancing, and that's one of my passions. One of the things that I really wanted to do when I was much younger is, get into dancing hardcore, follow that as a career choice. And I don't know, be dancing on stage and world tours with famous artists. That was something that I really had a passion to do. One of the things I thought would have been amazing to have been able to do was to be one of the dancers for like Michael Jackson when he was going to do his last like tour, and then he passed away and that never happened. Like that would have been like a dream of mine to have been able to do something like that. But getting into business and stuff, I had since kind of let that go, and it's kind of one of my regrets. I mean, I could get back into dance, I guess, but I don't know. But I love to dance, so that's one of them. And singing, I've always loved to sing. My mom and brother discovered that I had a voice of any kind when I was singing in the shower one day. I was singing to a Disney song. I think it was the song that Once Upon a Dream by Sleeping Beauty. And they were like, where is this sound coming from? Where is this coming from? And it was me singing in the shower, and they were quite impressed. Am I like this great singer? No, I wouldn't say so. Could I be a music artist? I don't think so. I don't think I have that kind of voice. But I do have a voice, if that makes sense. One thing people don't know about me, that you would know this if you hung out with me or if we know each other in person. I'm actually more of a tomboy than I am a girly girl. I like rugged stuff and adventure. I don't mind getting dirty. I used to like to go, hang out and splash in mud puddles as a girl, play sports as a girl. Like just with my neighborhood friends, we'd just get on our roller skates and play like hockey or, do other sports. I've been paintballing several times. I love paintballing, and I'm not afraid to like roll around in the dirt or come up to you and get you right up close and personal. So I have a little bit of a no fear aspect of me. Things like zip lining. I just, I'm more tomboy than I am prissy. Let me stay inside, girly girl. Let me not get dirty. If I have to go through the work of getting ready, no, I don't want to ruin that. But I'd much rather do some kind of adventure, out there in nature than to just get dolled up and go shopping or out for lattes. If that's your thing, that's cool. I enjoy doing those things too. I enjoy doing those things too. And looking clean and cute and have a cute dress on and all that. I enjoy that too. But if I were going to pick one or the other, I would choose more of the outdoorsy, rough and tough, roll in the dirt activities. It's just me. I do drink responsibly, okay? And my preferred drinks are beer, to be honest. I love an ice cold beer. I love a good IPA. I don't like light beer stuff. I think it's gross. It's just like watered down beer. And then besides that, I enjoy whiskey would be my drink of choice. Crown Royal preferably, but I also like Jameson, and I'll take any generic brand. But whiskey, and I do mix it with Coke. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a wimp. I can take it strong. I can take a shot, but I wouldn't do that because I don't want to get drunk. So I just like to have a few drinks. I do enjoy a good drink, but I do drink responsibly. My favorite season is fall. I love sweater weather. But I do love summertime and everything that comes with that, with barbecues and going to the park and 4th of July. I love 4th of July. It's one of my favorite holidays. I love Halloween, Christmas. I can go through all of them. I love them all. Anything that involves food too. But fall is my favorite season, always has been. So fun facts about me. So if I could get up and move anywhere now, it'd be most likely San Diego. But then I think about it and I'm very happy with where we are now. And I love that since my parents are getting older, I love being close to them. Been in the news, I think twice because of our middle school choir. We were an incredibly talented choir, and we were featured in the morning news a couple of times. So we had the news anchors come down and do a piece on us. Also, when I was in about kindergarten or first grade in New Orleans area, my brother and I were featured in an article in the newspaper. Some woman came and just wanted to take pictures of us and ask us questions. And now thinking back on that, it's kind of odd because it's not like my parents were around, but whatever. And she did a piece of us and hanging out by the pond. And my parents have it saved somewhere. I don't know what that is, but we were featured in the newspaper, which was kind of cool. One thing that I did, I auditioned for in 8th grade and was in our school musical. We did really great productions. It wasn't like your average little school musical. It is a talented group, and it was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I was one of the lead dancers of that musical that we did. It was so much fun. I had fun acting and dancing and all of that. And in the dream sequence of Joseph, I played the Joseph representation of him in the dreams, and it was just so much fun. I did choir throughout middle school. I have been in cheerleading. I was a cheerleader, guys. And I was just really good at it. Like I was in dance before, like as I mentioned before. Hip hop in my later years is the type of dancing that I would do. When I was much younger in elementary school, I played the violin for a little while. And I've done other things. I've been in track. And the funny thing is, besides running, like short distance running and track, I also did shot put. And in one of our track meets, I came in third place for girls shot put. So don't let size fool you. I am truly a Wonder Woman. Funny thing that I talk about with people when we get into like childhood days, in San Diego, they had, handball courts and different things like that on the playground. One of them was tetherball. Once I got into tetherball, you guys, I ruled the tetherball courts. Okay, nobody could beat me. So if you lost, you had to go back in the back of the line, and if you won, you got to stay. I stayed on that court the whole entire recess, every single recess, because no one could beat me. And I would come home with like scabs and scrapes and my fingers getting crusty and bleeding from all of the hits of the tetherball, and I loved it. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I have a scar, and I was like, I am proud of this scar. Check this scar out. Going back to my tomboyish ways. So I enjoyed that, and I ruled the court. Why have I been going natural hair-wise, or why the curly hair journey? I was actually inspired by one of my cousins, my BFF for my whole life, my favorite cousin. Sorry, other cousins, I love you all. And she had started wearing her hair natural, and she inspired me to do it. And I don't know, it just became a little bit of an empowering thing. I've struggled with and hated my hair for as long as I could remember. My mom has very super straight, silky hair. And so I guess, a lot of the women on my mom's side have curly hair of all curl types, very tight curls, loose curls, whatever. So I guess I would say I got it from that side. But my dad also kind of has a more coarse, wavier hair type. So being that there were no YouTube tutorials, or really internet searches in my teenage days, didn't exist. I didn't know what to do with my hair, and I didn't have a mom that could help me, show me. So I tried all kinds of things. My hair was straight until about the middle of puberty, or towards the end of puberty, or whatever. And so I just kept styling it the way you would my straight hair. I'd get out of the shower, I'd brush it out. I wouldn't put any product in it. I'd put a headband on, or I'd do a half up, half down look, and I'd have this, it would dry into this frizzy mess. So if you have curly hair, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Then I started trying different products and, spraying, putting mousse in it, putting gel in it. Nothing seemed to work that I wasn't just embarrassed by my hair. So for a few years in my late high school years, my look was coming out of the shower with my hair soaking wet, brushing it out and putting it up in like a bun. And then I would just get creative on what kind of bun I would do. And I so badly wanted to look like the other girls, where they could wear their hair down and look pretty and look cute. And I couldn't. I was always hiding my hair. That was the mission, to hide my hair so no one would see how gosh awful it was and how frizzy and ugly it was. This is how I felt. And so it did have a toll on my self-esteem. And I just think that, when you're a teenager, there's peer pressure, there's all these things, and there's hormones and whatever. And I just feel so stupid for caring so much about my hair, but we all have something like that, right? And that was my insecurity point, was my hair. So yeah, I'll share some pictures here. And that's just how I'd look. I wanted to hide it. And then it wasn't until flat irons started coming out, which were awful ones, they're like metal ones or whatever, I started straightening my hair. But they were very damaging, and I also didn't know about what kind of products to use to help not damage my hair. And then things got better and better, like the Chi came out, the ceramic tiles one. The Lioness or Lioness or whatever it's called has been my go-to flat iron for the past 5 years. What I've used all the way up until I started my curly hair journey. But Do I not like my hair straight? No, I love my hair straight. I love being able to run my fingers through it. I love having long flowing locks. I've been blessed with very thick hair, which was also something I extremely hated when I was younger. Why can't I just have thin, straight hair? And now I'm glad that I have thick hair. But, you know, I love having my hair straight. But I wanted to do this because this is me. This is how God made me. This is what my hair really is. And I just think of like across the cultural, spectrum or whatever you want to say, there's a lot of girls right now and a lot of women hiding their true hair to be accepted by society, what society deems beautiful. And beauty comes in all kinds of shades of skin color and eye color and hair texture and hair color and sizes. And this is me going into nice girls finish last mode, where you are not going to tell me, media or Hollywood or whatever, what is beautiful and what is not, okay? And so this is me being proud of my roots, of being proud of who I am. I've always been proud of my roots, but I mean hair-wise, okay, guys? And this is my hair. Will I never straighten my hair again? No, I will, just for an occasional change it up look, but I'm going to wait at least until I've completed a year on this journey to do as much repair as I possibly can, or maybe even 2 years before I do it, because when you go on this kind of journey, you see how much your hair changes and repairs that you don't want to do anything to reverse it. Like, frightens you to think for a second of damaging the progress you've made. So I'm just embracing it, and there's days where I miss straightening my hair and I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's horrible. It looks jacked up today. It's a learning process to learn about things to use. I follow a YouTuber called Mains by Mel. She's amazing and super funny. And I follow some tips and advice from other YouTubers too, but she's the main one I watch. And I don't necessarily use the products that she shows. I mean, I'm open to it. But the ones that I've tried several, and the ones that I've found that work best for me right now is I do put in a like a protein kind of mix into my hair right now that it's so cold and dry. But then as far as styling goes, I've been using, when my hair is soaking wet, I've been using this Canteen curl activator. And then after that's in my hair and I've finger coiled around some limp areas, I use this gel that's $7, you guys. I mean, even this is not expensive. And this is by Garnier, and it's their Curl Treats brand that they came out with, which is 98% naturally derived ingredients. So when you're on a curly hair journey, you want to avoid a lot of damaging ingredients like sulfates and silicones and parabens and blah, blah, blah. So this jelly stuff works the best. I've tried other gels and stuff that have been recommended, but honestly, this is what works best for me. So I keep going back to it. So I'm just a little more conscious of what I put in my hair. My mom has told me several times how much healthier my hair looks, that it used to look good, but pretty dried out. So I just think, ladies, no matter what you look like, no matter your eye color, your skin color, your hair color, love who you are. That is your uniqueness. Love your talents, love your personality, and love the bad too. If you think you have weaknesses or whatever, love it all. And don't be afraid to show a new kind of beauty, like in your face. Straight stick hair, blonde hair, whatever the case may be that they're trying to tell you is the thing that's in or whatever. Be happy with who you are, embrace it. And it really does empower other women around you to feel good about themselves, even if they look nothing like you, even if they can't relate on your hair, your skin, whatever. The fact that you're embracing your uniqueness and who you are really inspires others. And who I've seen have the biggest impact on that is my daughter. She misses mommy with straight hair because that's who she's used to since 10 months ago. I started this 10 months ago. My hair is much curly. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's getting out of control over here. My hair is much tighter, curlier than this. But you do damage for 20 years, the process that you go through. So I have some areas that just won't get very curly, and the transition is hard to deal with, but I'm sticking to it. And though she misses mommy with straight hair, she does throw in comments here and there about her hair turning wavy one day or getting curly one day and looking forward to it. And it's rubbing off on her, the fact that I'm embracing me and being proud of me, regardless of what me is. So ladies, I encourage you and hopefully empower you to do the same. Ladies, thank you so much for watching. If you guys have questions, comments, put them down below. I thank you for taking the time to learn more about me. If there's anything that you feel like I left out that you'd really like to hear about, put in the comments. I'd be happy to do a new video and answer those few questions for you. I hope that gave you a little bit of an insight of who I am and where I came from and what type of person I am besides the woman in front of you breathing down your neck telling you, you should be doing marketing like this. Don't do that. So hopefully this changed your perspective of who I am in a positive way. But if not, well, guess what? I am what I am, right? So like it or leave it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you are doing well in your quarantine and your lockdown. Stay positive, ladies, and I will talk to you soon.